Don't let the thumbnail fool you. Welcome back to one of our final Fandom Nation streams. Uh, by my calculation, there's this one and then one more to come, possibly two, because I might do something. But here we are. It is Wednesday, May the 21st, 2025, and we are getting ready to sit down and watch Rogue One together. Johnny and I seen this movie opening night. We braved a snowstorm to do it. I don't think any of us thought the weather was going to get as bad as it did that night, and it got quite bad. But we made it in one piece, as you can all tell, as we're still here. But full disclosure, as I said on last night's show, I watched Rogue One and A New Hope over the weekend with Jade so that we could do it. And it's a good thing that we did, because had she waited till tonight, she would have gotten interrupted about 10 minutes ago. So kudos to her on being right on that one. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys think of it. I didn't share any of my Rogue One thoughts last night. I just shared how I felt at the end of A New Hope. Gonna save my Rogue One thoughts for tonight. I could not wait to get back into this movie. Now it's been, I guess, 8 days, or I guess 7 days, because I think you guys finished in the afternoon for Andor season 2. Like, has the itch been there to watch this movie because of season 2 for either one of you? Start with Johnny.
I mean, not as much. I knew we were, I already knew we were going to be watching it, so it didn't really ratchet up any interest for me.
No, I mean, even including our watch party.
No, but I mean, like, even, it'll be nice to see it with more information, and more context to certain interactions and specifically characters, So yeah, it's going to be interesting to compare and contrast and see the differences in the two, and it's gonna be fun.
Randy?
I mean, I knew I was going to be able to hold out until we did this tonight, but I think one of the things that surprises me is usually when it comes to like big events, whether it's Marvel, Harry Potter, Star Wars, whatever. Usually, you can find it. Someone's doing a marathon on a TV station, and we, to my surprise, nothing Star Wars related was on like any of the major networks that usually would do that sort of thing. It's been like Harry Potter weekend every week for like the past 2 months, but we haven't had a Star Wars marathon except for on May the 4th. And so I was kind of surprised at that. But since that didn't happen, I knew I could hold out until tonight, and I'm definitely excited for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to jumping back into this thing. Although I seen it the other day, I'm still just excited to sit down and see it with you guys. And one of the common things being that we're really doing this in honor of Andor season 2. Is Andor, just the show in general, will be a primary talking point as we're watching this movie, and people are noticing things and pointing things out and whatnot. So be on the lookout for that for sure. We are going to start in about a minute's time or so, because we're getting started late. It's 2-hour movie roughly. So without further ado, we want you guys and gals out there to queue up to 7 seconds. So whether you're watching us live or watching us after the fact, queue up to 7 seconds. And that's where we will launch from. The 7-second spot, as my TV screensaver comes up. We'll see if that messed me up at all. Typically does. And no different this time. So now I gotta wait for it to get back to 7 seconds. But yes, queue up to 7 seconds. The Lucasfilm logo should have just disappeared on you. All right. So, without further ado, let's begin this Rogue One watch party on Go. 3, 2, 1, go. I don't think Dave could stomach 2 minutes of Terrence. That's just me. What's going on, Jerry? Hopefully, you're taking the time sitting down watching Rogue One with us tonight. By the way, the shots at the beginning of this movie visually, I've never had a problem with this movie visually. I remember saying, even after it came out, that I thought it was a couple steps up on The Force Awakens, despite me not liking the movie as much when it came out. Visually, it doesn't leave much, off the table.
No, visuals was never a problem with this movie. Why does this now, in light of Andor, why does Saw's involvement with Galen bug me so much?
I don't know. You have a problem with the way blasters look, so I'm sure.
No, this is more of a timeline thing. Like, I feel like Saw knowing about Galen, but what are we, 10, 12 years prior to at this point? Like, this would be early Death Star construction.
From, I believe, we're like 5 years after Revenge of the Sith.
So, like, I just...
Well, I mean, you have to remember, it seems like in every piece of content that's set between A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith, Saw is involved in some way, shape, or form, whether it's book, comic book, video game, movie, TV series. He's always popping up. So it's not surprising that he would be involved with Galen as well.
Yeah, the novel Catalyst shed some light on that, which is a Rogue One prequel of its own. And it comes back up again in The Mask of Fear, pun intended. First book of the Reign of the Empire series.
Did they identify this planet?
I'm sure it is identified in a visual dictionary, but it's not one that's been identified on screen.
Because, like, am I crazy, or is this, like, giving Mina Rao vibes?
Too green.
Mina Rao? It's, like, all fields and shit.
Ben Mendelsohn's a gem. Friggin' his back from the dead.
Krennic himself extremely lucky considering that blaster hit was like what, maybe a couple inches from his heart. Saw clearly before his days of huffing starship fuel.
I love Tony Gilroy and quite like Gareth Edwards, but the fact that those two smart of people couldn't come up with a better looking title card with a better looking font than that is, I've been complaining about that for 9 years, and I'm going to continue to do so.
It's one thing I'll give Rogue One compared to Episode 7. For the time, Rogue One did a much better job in the creature shop.
See, that's information they didn't get from Luthen. They just didn't know it was a planet killer. I don't know if you guys seen the one of the things I sent you over the last couple of weeks, but turns out the blaster he uses in Rogue One is actually Bix's blaster.
Congratulations. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
Was it K2 on the U-Wing with Cassian on the way to Kafrene?
Yeah. Trying to find problems where there aren't any.
It's more the others, because it was just the two of them. I'm lining up the time, because everything's kind of going so fast right now.
Well, my guess is not that I've read the novelization, I haven't, but that they simply radio in the results from Kafrene and they have a team meet them.
That's fair.
What is this? It's a chance for you to make a fresh start. You can pick up the old habits. This is Captain Cassian Andor, Rebel Intelligence.
By God, Bale had a couple of heavy dinners.
It's been a long week, you know. Because you don't need one.
Even if this was your first watch of this movie, how could you not love K2SO and just that snarky attitude through the entire film?
Oh, he's awesome. My issue is every other droid they try to make like him after this. That just doesn't pay off. It's a staple in so many of the movies moving forward, and it's frankly not well done most of the time.
To be fair, Chopper was the first to be the snarky asshole.
I don't know.
I think
R2 would like your have a word with you.
I just say R2 maybe to a lesser extent, but HK-47.
Okay, I can
Predates
give you
that.
HK-47. Though I'm sure we would really like to see droid language put out on the screen for whenever R2's on screen, no doubt. Star Wars be rated R real quick.
Say the movie wouldn't be PG anymore. Foreshadowing. Speaking of mind-blowing shots,
this the first chronological shot of that particular class of Star Destroyer?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I said, is that the first chronological shot of that particular class of Star Destroyer?
I don't know, because there's one way off in the distance in Andor season 2 at the beginning, but we don't get a close up of it.
I guess, and we did see the one over Jeddah
That too.
in
Yep.
season 2.
What's going
But
on?
again,
Justin?
we couldn't quite see the class, I guess. So
Same with you, Byron. Hopefully you're both keeping well.
I will commend them for the use of shadows to kind of help look Tarkin look more realistic than when we got to see Leia being pretty much all white and light. And yeah,
I will say 10 years on, it does not hold up as well as it did originally. To me, anyway.
I think it looks far better than people give it credit for when you remember that this is not de-aging. This is just a completely new creation with Steven Stanton's voice used. That being said, they're in a lawsuit over it still. So, I don't see Star Wars going down that path again.
Not if people are going to continue to sue even when they have permissions and contracts. Like the AI Vader.
Yeah, Mangold. Wow. James Earl Jones signed basically a forever thing where
And SAG-AFTRA is still suing over it.
well, all this stuff is going to be in this sort of weird vacuum, which, in my opinion, is why you recast.
I think the problem is, at least from the sense of where, like, I understand where they're coming from with the lawsuit over it, but pick a case where the family isn't behind it. Where James himself was, the contract was negotiated with James while he was still alive.
Yep. He even
Like,
spoke about it. So
exactly. It's
I
not
don't
like
think that
this
one will
is
go anywhere. The
no.
Tarkin one's a little less clear.
Yeah. Because the family's kind of like, if I'm remembering right, there's the family's feuding over it internally as well.
Despite signing off to begin with. So it's, it's...
and at least with like Leia, they've already had permission from Billy Lord to do that. So
I still think at the end of the day, you recast. Like, they were ready to recast Leia in Andor season 2. Don't run into any of these issues.
Oh no, I agree. They need to recast the big three regardless. There's so many stories they could be telling that would help benefit the franchise if they would just recast.
That sacred cow, they'll hold on to it forever.
I'm sure at this point, I know Mark Hamill was like, "You can please recast," and I'm sure Harrison Ford probably feels the same way. So, of course, Harrison Ford was like, "I should have been dead at Return of the Jedi." So,
Harrison Ford is more like, "Why are you asking me?"
Yes, please leave me alone. Get off my lawn.
Are you paying me to bug me?
Facts, right there, big facts.
I don't know who played him in episode 3, but there was definitely a resemblance there at the end. That being said, Tarkin has a lot of talking parts, enough talking parts in this movie anyways, though, that you needed someone that could actually hold their own. And obviously Steven Stanton has his fingerprints all over the Star Wars galaxy.
Tarkin in Episode 3 was Wayne Pygram.
Trying to think of other characters Stanton's voice. He's voiced Tarkin. He's voiced Kenobi in Rebels. I'm forgetting a couple major ones. I know that. Man, that shot of Jeddah looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the things I always loved about this movie is, yes, it's Star Wars, but it's like one of the things I've always liked about certain movies is it feels like Star Wars. Like there's always that certain feeling you get when you watch a Star Wars movie you just know that's what you're watching. But they've had some movies where you're just like, this doesn't feel like Star Wars, but they did a great job just to give that overall feeling for this.
Yeah.
There's a cameo I don't agree with. This place is about to get blown to shit in an hour.
Yeah.
And those two just so happen to make it off here to be seen on Tatooine a couple of days later, a few days later, or whatever it is, a week later at most. Like, it's not like they send the blast down and it only kills some people. It basically kills all life on the planet.
Since you mentioned some of the voices Stanton did, you didn't get the nose. Masa Meta in Clone Wars.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Felt like there was a missed opportunity to have him in Andor.
He also did Colonel Gascon, also in Clone Wars. He was Griff in Resistance. Not that anybody really watched that.
No. That was probably the biggest Star Wars animated failure there's been so far.
AP5 in Rebels.
Oh, wow. I'll have to go back and listen again because that's actually really cool. That was a good character.
And he was the voice of a Pike Traveler in an episode of Book of Boba Fett. Just as a random thing.
Byron asks, was the last Star Wars trilogy a flop box office wise from your point of view? I can say a lot of things about the last Star Wars trilogy. I cannot say anything negative about its box office performance because
it made money.
Despite it declining from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi to The Rise of Skywalker, which did the least best of the three, at the end of the day, all three movies were highly profitable. And even after marketing, when you combine the three, you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of, 1.5 billion in profit alone. That does not include any money made from sponsorship deals or merch.
Yeah. I mean, 7 alone had almost $1 billion gross in theaters.
Just domestically. Worldwide, it was well over 2 billion. Close to 2.2 billion.
Yeah.
That movie cost a lot of money to produce. Now that I think about it, after your budget and marketing for even seven alone probably made them somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 billion. So you're talking north of $2 billion profit from these three movies.
I mean, domestically, north of 2 billion. Domestically.
But I'm talking profit.
Yeah.
But 2 billion in profit for a movie trilogy. I would argue there isn't another movie trilogy on planet Earth that's done that. But that doesn't mean what happened good, because had they done a fourth movie right after the third movie and it was no longer a trilogy, that movie would have continued to see diminishing returns because people did not like where the story was going. There wasn't much left on the table going into The Rise of Skywalker.
No.
I mean, somehow Palpatine returned. Enough said.
Yeah, the chaos behind the scenes really ruined that one.
Jeddah would have been a good planet to put in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, it definitely had the right amount of cover and corners and things like that that would have made for some fun gunplay in that game.
I mean, they did put a lot of work into Scarif, though, for Battlefront 2 as the Rogue One map.
I don't think I've ever played that.
By that point, the shine was off the apple, but
Oh yeah,
Jensen and
absolutely.
I play Battlefront 2 a bunch, but I'm going to guess that's paid for DLC.
this was the, yeah.
For Scarif, yeah, it was part of like the deluxe
It was the
edition.
season pass, yeah. It was the final part of the DLC. Of the season pass DLC.
Yeah, the whole loot crate pay to win bullshit is kind of what ruined that game from the word go.
Oh,
Thing is, it
the
wasn't
way
a
they
bad
had
game.
characters, the way they had character unlocks inside of that.
Oh, that was horrible.
And the skills in the loop, like, oh, it was just.
And here's my favorite character in this movie.
K2 would applaud his excellent use of a human shield.
Oh, absolutely.
I love how he sits on the dead stormtrooper, just uses him as a bench.
Yeah. Yep, we can take care of that. Still, I think that's my favorite line in the whole movie.
Donnie Yen. Someone asked Tony Gilroy the other day if there was consideration to having Cheered or Bays in there for Andor season 2, which really isn't needed considering he just meets them here. And he laughed. He's like, absolutely not. Do you know how hard it was to get Donnie Yen to come back for reshoots on Rogue One? It was like prying teeth.
That's a line that hits a lot different post Andor.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Yep.
I mean, how poignant is that line? It's not a problem if you don't look up. That's, given the state of things, that's pretty powerful words right there.
That shot they just showed of the Death Star, I've never really understood it because it looks like it's upside down. I don't know if it's a mistake. Obviously, we can't pause it, go back and look, but Jerry sends in a $10 super chat. Says Star Wars should use the World Between Worlds to soft reboot / flesh out a good main character, then do different genres. Wouldn't rule anything out at this point.
I mean, it's not impossible to do that. So I just don't know how often they plan on doing something like that.
Tell that to the X-Wings we've seen corkscrew. Or the Falcon, for that matter.
That shot of the blast is beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The It was just so well done and so well created that, yeah.
So I didn't get to point it out earlier, but there's a shot, and I've never searched up to see if it's true or not. But one of the first times we see Jeddah in this movie, it looks like we go past the end area of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. How it has like that thing that's built into the mountains that, and if it's not that, and Star Wars is popular for using various different Lucasfilm property things, but it looks damn close to it. I'm not talking about the entry to what we just seen get blown up either.
Do you think with that shot we saw at the end of season 2 of Andor with Saw that he had an inkling that that was going to be where it all ended for him, given how he reacted to Jin trying to get him to go with them, and he's like, "No, you go."
Uh, I think he just knows his physical limits, and he was never going to make it to a ship in time. I mean, I know he's missing a leg. Is he missing two potentially? Hard to tell, but I think it was just an in the moment thing, and Jin kind of brought him his last clarity, if you will. We haven't seen him have too much clarity at all in Andor and various other projects, whether it's the Bad Batch or Rebels.
I think it's also a sort of a acknowledgement that the rebellion is actually in good hands now.
I can see that.
Like that they're embracing the, I don't want to say the dark side, but he obviously he knows he trained Jin, and Cassian is very clearly not afraid to do what's necessary, and I'm sure Saw knows that. I think he finally, sees that maybe they can pull it off. A little late for that if they actually did just, destroy Jeddah. Don't you think?
He did say, need to kill him before he builds something else.
I guess that's true. That's one way to put it.
Cassian's probably thinking when K2's like, yeah, we all heard it. One right shot or whatever, and the whole thing goes boom. He's probably thinking to himself, shut the fuck up, K2. Jeez.
I like that even though we really don't have the Jedi in a sense here, I like how they understood that when writing this, there was a really good understanding of the mysticism behind the Force and how they've used that through the entire movie. I think that's so well done and something that should have always been kept rather than what we got with the prequels and the talk of midi-chlorians.
When you don't see Andor, you don't get Cassian's motivations. You just think he's kind of a scummy dick, but that's not at all the case. And this is why you use the AI voice now. Dude's already not having a good day dealing with Tarkin and gets summoned to Mustafar.
I will say, for the movie as a whole, it was and it was just enough amount of Vader that was all that was needed to just tie everything together, or just the right amount of Tarkin. Um, it was so well done that they didn't overuse them to try to be like, hey, look, we've got Darth Vader in here. No, it's just more like little scenes here and there, and that was all that was needed. Well, that doesn't just hit a little different now after watching Andor.
If by different you mean a ton, then yes.
Yeah, yes, I was underselling it. Sorry, but yes, it was. Yeah,
Used to people sticking around when things go bad. May the force be with us.
Unlike when Cassian goes to the rings of Kafrene there at the end of Andor, I get and this isn't just from seeing Andor. This is from the first time I saw the movie. Like, I think they know they're signing up for a suicide mission there.
yeah, I agree. Just because knowing what they're going after and where they're going alone, that's.
Yeah, how little support they have to begin with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's proof that it's these types of missions that can win a war, for the most part.
Fuck you all, be fine.
I just like how it's like serious, serious, serious. K2SO is like, yeah, I'll be the comedy relief here and just say a good one liner and be like, I'll be fine. Okay. You'll all die.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the choke still.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with that. I can't imagine having to feel what Anakin felt when he got burned alive. So I'll go with the choke. Because at least at some point he might snap my neck and it'll be over that quickly.
I guess by this point he has lots of experience pretending to be an Imperial.
That's one way to put it.
I've got a bad feeling about it. What? We need a map. And I'm sure there's one just lying about. You know. Director, what brings you to Scout? So, on every dispatch, every transmission he has ever sent called up for inspection.
Looks painful.
I mean, given where the data port is, it's definitely a job that R2 wouldn't have been able to accomplish.
You know that Luthen is watching this and being like, beyond the force, being like, yes, yes.
Luthen would definitely be proud, for sure.
I love that smile.
No question what she wants.
Well, that it's almost as if she knew something was going to happen, but not going to say anything. But definitely some of the best
Operative
scenes come
trained
up.
by an operative trained by Saw Gerrera and an operative trained by Luthen No, nothing bad can happen there.
Never.
How did they end up on the Tantive?
Watch the movie.
R2 and 3PO?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. Like I said, it's been 10 years since I've seen this movie. I probably said that in the theater, too.
I mean, you essentially just had the question answered.
This is Admiral Reddish from the Rebel Alliance. All squadron leaders reporting. Admiral, this is Blue Leader standing by. This is Gold Leader standing by. This is Red Leader standing by. This are the Rebel ships. Admiral, order immediately. Rebel fleet. It's messing up that too. Lock down and close the chute. Do it. Attack formations. Defend the fleet. Squadron, get to the surface before they close that gate. Roger, you Admiral. Let's go over quickly. Welcome home. Close the field that makes it now. Close it.
Yeah, Dustin, I get it. That one, I think you just got to chalk up to they had two, you know, old guys back in 1976 when they were shooting it. And obviously, that battle just does not hold up. The reimagined version I've seen on YouTube is a bit better. Um, you'll never be able to do anything for it because of the deal Lucas signed. But had he not, that would definitely be one of those things I'd be, wanting to go back and brush up on.
Yeah, that reimagined fight that someone did and put on YouTube is absolutely amazing. That'd have been so cool if they could have done something with that in A New Hope, but it is what it is. It's
How does Melshi look older here than he does 10 years later in Andor?
I don't know. Maybe the actor started eating healthier, but yeah, I don't disagree.
maybe the dude has
Far and
just
away
seen some shit.
far and away the best space battle excuse me, we've gotten in the Disney era. Everything doesn't feel like it's on fast forward. It feels like there's actually an actual rhythm and a point to what's happening.
It also looks more like the original trilogy dogfighting with like the way the cockpits look and
Very much so.
I mean, as a kid, that's what got one of the things that got me excited about Star Wars to begin
Yeah.
with, since they didn't really have like that focus on the Jedi and all that things and all that stuff yet. So dogfighting is where it was.
I really want to know what's in the Black Saber file.
Probably don't want to get caught in that.
Nah, I'd be just fine. Just like lose a limb or two or half.
Didn't work out well for Mole.
No, it did not.
Such a cool shot.
I feel like in the history books that would be called the Radis maneuver.
Krennic's probably thinking, "Oh, what the fuck?"
I realized just how flip side of the coin this scene is to the scene in the Gorman Massacre.
Cyril's.
Yeah.
Same with K2's climb remark, echoing Kino Loy from season 1.
Yeah. You know, when you're reminded of this, the Holdo maneuver, not so original.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one. It looked good in theaters, but the plausibility was, even for Star Wars, it's hard to believe.
We'd also just seen this, what, a year and a half earlier?
Not even a year.
Yeah, I guess a year and a half would have been Solo. God, there were a lot of movies in that brief window. What were they thinking?
They could get away with the one a year thing, but the following up anything after freaking Last Jedi 6 months later was stupid.
Yeah, they should have waited like the full year, and then Solo may have done better financially, at least a little bit. But Last Jedi was too divisive to just all of a sudden throw another movie out 6 months later.
I dare say it would have been worse if they'd have waited a full year. because then you would have been in the throes of winter. And after that opening weekend, I don't know how many people would be like braving snow and cold to go see that movie.
Oh, really? But instead, you'd rather them go up against Infinity War.
Well, no, but at least there they can blame the drop on something else. Like, at least that wasn't expected. You know, they knew they were running into a juggernaut of their own creation, and really, Disney didn't give a rat's ass because it was still money in their pocket.
Krennic with that oh shit look in his eyes. And if K2 is in that scene, he's like, no, they're dead.
So I think looking at it now, seeing it, it's the way the explosion looks, reflecting the light on them, that makes you feel a love scene here. Which now with Andor, you know that's not accurate.
Just two people that know.
Well, yes, what I'm saying, like with the
0%
like it
chance
was
that they're making it out of there.
no for sure, but like the lighting, the look of it was very, you know, Notebook-y.
I'll take your word for that because I've never watched that movie. So
Why? That's why I say Notebook-y.
You're missing out then. That's a great movie. Fantastic. Good date night for you and the wife, man.
the hallway scene, the way we always envisioned Vader being.
I still like I would say this. It should have just ended with them dying on Scarif.
Well, you're in about 1% of the fan base's thoughts on that one, pal. Although that was the plan. That was the plan. And they didn't add that Vader thing in until about 4 months before release.
What is it they've sent us?
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Rogue One. 9 years since its release.
And actually, it feels like to me personally, now that with watching Andor and whatnot, and then watching this, uh, the movie actually hits different, and I actually like it more than I did when I first saw it in theaters.
I was worried, because I think the expectation is for it to hit different, right? Especially after seeing Andor. But until you actually sit down and watch it, you don't know. You don't know if you're gonna feel any emotion, if you're gonna get the hair stand up on your arms at all. Um, and for me, not as much tonight because it's my second viewing in less than a week, but um, still felt something tonight. And when Jade and I watched it on the weekend, it was incredible, honestly. Unfortunately, I don't think it fixes the movie's biggest issue, um, which I firmly believe is Felicity Jones. Again, not saying she's a bad actress. Clearly not. I believe she's either been nominated for an Oscar or full on won an Oscar. It's one of the two. Um, and Oscar or Emmy. It's one of the two.
I know it was an Oscar.
Was
That's
it
what
an
I
Oscar?
remember.
I couldn't remember if she was nominated or won it. Point
She
being, though,
won. She was nominated for Best Actress.
she's not good in this movie. And not just when you compare her performance to the other performances in the movie, but when you compare her performance to the performances in Andor, it's right down towards the bottom. And the problem with that is she's, you know, your lead slash co-lead. Um, so that it doesn't get any better there for me. But obviously, all of Cass's stuff has so much extra weight. The
Mhm.
Imperial stuff has extra weight. Um, Rogue One had already climbed my list a little bit over the years, but like this goes way, way, way up my list now in terms of favorite Star Wars movies. It's just hard to ignore everything Andor adds, and you can sit there and say, "Well, how does it stand on its own?" Fair story, or fair question, if you ask somebody who's never seen Andor. But if you've
Right.
seen Andor and then watch this movie, it is literally impossible to separate the two.
Yeah, I mean it definitely, with Felicity's performance, it does fall flat compared to a year prior to this she'd been nominated for a Best Actress Oscar. Like that's quite a dip. You know,
Well,
she's
and
actually a
also
two-time nominee
it doesn't
for an
help
Oscar.
that there was a lot of the lesser characters were far more interesting and had far better chemistry with each other than
Yeah.
she did. Anybody like Baze and Chirrut, like that tandem right there. I mean, Chirrut was my favorite character when I first saw the movie, and still is. It's
Mhm.
just his, like I was saying earlier about they understood the mysticism of the Force, and it was in full effect here, versus what we got in the prequels with the midichlorians. So it's something that Lucas always wanted, was the mysticism of it all for the most part, and they, for all the movies except for trying to base it down to science, um, pretty much hits on that.
Hey, now, don't be bashing midichlorians. Darth M count up there is not going to have that.
It is 12:30. It is too late for that.
What is he gonna do? Sick Darth Jar Jar on me? I mean, shit.
I don't have the energy to deal with this now. It's 12:30.
According to Dustin, Tommy B is Darth Jar Jar.
I mean, he might. He could be. You never know.
I see it. Misa have big midichlorian count.
Well, it would explain how he managed to stumble his way through the fucking battle on Naboo.
I still can't believe they added Darth Jar Jar as a character in Fortnite.
I personally love that.
I didn't say it wasn't cool. I'm just saying I still can't believe they did it. No, I'm really glad we got the chance to watch this literally a week after the finale. It really does help the film a lot, and puts a lot more emphasis and a lot more emotion into it than when you watch it the first time.
You definitely feel the stakes a bit more, especially with Cassian. Knowing he has a child he'll never know, does add a lot to his actions, and you get a better idea of his sort of interactions with Chirrut, being as deep in the Force as he is, and Cassian sort of having the interaction with the Force healer on Yavin. Like, it just you so much more of it is sort of more fleshed out in that regard, that I appreciate it a lot more. Yeah, no, it definitely is a better film off the back of Andor. Um, seeing more of why Cassian is the way he is, especially off the rip. Um, it the beginning makes more sense coming straight off of Andor, understanding
Mm-hmm.
why he is so quick to shoot, an ally in the back like that. It definitely, like when we saw this 10 years ago, it was like, oh, we're finally seeing the dark side of the rebellion, and we are, but we aren't. We're just seeing the, pardon the pun, ruthless aggression of the rebellion, and it plays better.
Well, and it's interesting if you think about it. You have a similar scene with Luthen and Lonnie, because it's like you can see the panic in Tivik's in his facial expressions, in his body language, his voice is trembling, and it's like, it's like, well, if he's caught, we're screwed. So I have one choice and one choice only, and that's really then. And if we didn't, and when you don't have that context of like what we saw through Andor, like you said, it really just kind of feels like the dark side of the rebellion. But in actuality, it's more like I'm doing what I have to do to keep the rebellion going and keep it alive. And it makes total sense now why it was done.
You understand more that it's not the rebellion that is that way. It's, specific players taught by specific players who are that way. And, Cassian is one of them.
I feel genuinely bad for anyone who doesn't give Andor a chance at this rate.
Well, I mean, given how well Rogue One's doing on Disney Plus, I think a lot of people have given Andor a chance. So, I mean, but if I know there's some people out there who still probably like, eh. I mean, if you are, that's I feel sorry for you for sure. But it's worth it.
You don't know what you're missing. The problem is things get a stigma, right? Like,
Yep.
Johnny had some great points last night in terms of the release, because like when Andor first released, they released 2 episodes in season 1.
Yep.
The 2 worst episodes in all of season
Of
1
the
were
series.
the first 2.
I can't think of any 2 that are worse than those 2. Off rip.
Episode 2 of season 2 is pretty bad. It's very idiot rebels focused, and not a whole lot of anything else. So
That's true. I'll give you that. But
it was pretty bad. Even I was sitting here going, "Oh God."
we also had the benefit of an episode before that and an episode after that were considerably better.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Even though those bastards killed Bronzo, I'm not over it, and I'm not gonna be over it.
But yeah, with season 1, you had to get through the first 3. It was the only way that you could find, like, okay, it's starting to get better. I'm a little more invested now. Whereas with the way that it was released, having those 3 episode arcs, you at least you're like, okay, let me get through these, and if I like it, I'll get through next week.
Yeah. You would have got to that 3rd episode of season 1 and been like, okay, it's not all that bad. There is some potential here that, you have enough reason to come back the following week Whereas just off those first 2 episodes, like I said, I gave up about halfway through that second episode at launch, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm not interested in this. I didn't care for it going into it because, like I said, it was the series we never asked for. It was the series we didn't want. Like there were so many better options on the table personally for potential series they could have done that this was not even on my list of like top 20 possible TV ideas. And those first 2 episodes just sunk any hope they had. Whereas if they had have done all 3 episodes, at least 3 episodes in that first block, I would have stuck it through just because I'm already this far. I might as well watch the last one, if for no other reason than to, just give it the full chance. But, didn't go that way. And they released 2 episodes that were trash.
I think the best part that you can, I don't know if I call it the best part, but in terms of trying to understand someone who went from being out on this series to being fairly in, is just go back and listen to our shows before we start the Andor rewatch and Johnny's tone towards it. And Johnny's
Yep.
tone now, he's a pretty hard guy to convince of anything, to be frank. And
Correct.
And I'm not saying he's in love with the show, but all you need to do is listen to the way he talks about it now. Versus
It's good. It's good. Like is it the greatest thing in Star Wars? No. Is it the worst thing in Star Wars? Not even close. It's not even the worst thing in the Disney Plus era at this point, which is something I would not have said.
Don't rank anything. I'm just.
Oh, I'm not going to.
Okay. That's future episodes. We're going to be doing power rankings over the next little while for Star Wars content. So, one of the big topics I had in mind was power rank all the Andor. I guess if you recall Andor trilogy, it would be the series Rogue One and A New Hope. But if you were to just leave out A New Hope, and
then
just
the Andor trilogy is season 1, season 2, and Rogue One.
Yeah, then I would say, we can power rank our characters, top 10 characters. There's only 24 episodes, so it'd be cool to go back and score each episode and come up with a definitive ranking that we can post as just like a pre-produced video. And then, like, we usually do this, but update our Star Wars power ranking. Where does Andor fit amongst your Star Wars live action releases, including movies and TV shows, right? And where's Rogue One now sit? All things that will come up in the coming weeks, but it is 12:40. We need to be going next Tuesday night at probably about 9, just so I have time to make sure both kids are fast asleep. We're going to be back for a New Hope watch party, and feel like it's a perfect way to cap off all of this, and looking forward to doing that with the two of you. And then the following Tuesday, we have the official launch, June the 3rd, of The Mask of Fear. Lots of work going on. We got a lot more done today. Have just started toy around with that intro, which will feature Nemec's, at least part of Nemec's manifesto. We won't be able to have the whole thing in there, but and toying around with some different ideas, and just looking forward to being able to continue this content, and and really start to see a shift in how we do things around the channel and on social media. Like, we've just changed our old Fandom Empire group that was on Facebook over to the Mask of Fear. That's somewhere we're gonna get the 3 of us a little more active, and I know Tommy B is gonna help out with that stuff as well, and just try to get a little bit of a community discussion going back there like we had in the old days. For the most part, that group's been dead for a while. So having a wide range of topics there will definitely help, and we'll begin to turn this ship the right way. Johnny, where can everybody find you at, man?
Oh man, you can find me here, there, and everywhere. Twitch.tv, Bros Before Pros. I don't know what we're going to be doing there. Something. Something.
Pac-Man.
Something.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
I got Baldur's Gate 3 this week, so I don't know. I might stream that.
That is an excellent game. So I hope you enjoy it when you do finally get into it.
I think the plan is right now. Some of my friends, in the course of there's like 10 different save files with like 4 or 5 different people. So I'm gonna, get in that and make them start a fresh one with me and play that with some friends.
I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it. You can play it however you want to play it. That's kind of how it works, and that's what makes it so good.
Randy, how about you, buddy?
Over on X, you can find me at Giggity Giles. Obviously, every week you can find me here. And as we push forward with the Mask of Fear, obviously try to push out some solo content here and there as well for everybody. Try to get something going on YouTube as well. So once I have more information, I will definitely pass it along.
Sorry, my TV interrupted us.
Damn you, TV.
Yeah, no, we got a lot coming. How we do our Patreon program. Speaking of which, Dustin, I seen that you were part of another channel, which I won't name's Patreon, but I hope you're getting your fix from them. I know they're good content creators. So,
Oh shoot,
us thing or you thing?
me thing, game and Game Pass that I had planned to install, and I want to play that with some friends.
Cough, cough. How about NHL 25 with this friend?
Well, yeah, that's a console thing.
Not tonight though. I'm going to bed.
No shit.
Yeah, just let me know and I'll put it back on my hard drive.
Definitely. Well, I think it just went on Game Pass not long ago. So, wait, are you PlayStation?
Yeah.
You're PlayStation, right? Yeah. So.
Yep.
Anyways, fellas, that's gonna do it. Stay tuned for more details on future content. Lots coming. Thanks for joining us tonight. A New Hope next Tuesday. We'll see you then. Fuck the Maple Leafs.